click this video in anticipation of hoping and trying to learn how to not hit your ankle every single time you ride a Razor scooter. Well, I have some good news and I have some bad news for you. The good news is, yeah, we are gonna learn some sick tricks with some scooters today. The bad news is your ankles will deteriorate, either right away or over time with arthritis. So there's gonna be no change there. I used to have a Razor scooter growing up. I had a blue one and my brother had a red one. And then one day mine got stolen. So that's fun. And you know what? It's not so much that my memories of my scooter are me like riding it around. A lot of them were me fighting for my life just to get them out of the back of my garage, you know? Because every single time I would go to like get the scooter out of my garage, like gravity and physics would start to happen. So like it would slowly start to turn at the bottom as I'm holding it up by its handlebars. And that's when like my shins, my knees sometimes, my ankles would just start getting hit. And I'm like, all right, dude. Was this even worth it? But since that awful day of my scooter getting stolen, I haven't been able to like fill that void of riding around and jumping half an inch off the ground. And I just needed to get that feeling back somehow. So I booted up Razor Scooter Freestyle. And my God, that did not help at all. I just realized I said the game's name wrong, but it's Razor Freestyle Scooter, also known as just Freestyle Scooter in Europe, because for some reason they didn't license the game over in Europe, so I don't really know. I couldn't figure out why. Oh, my scooter! But the game is an extreme sports game, and it was released for the PlayStation, Game Boy, Nintendo 64, and Dreamcast. The game had 3 developers: Shaba Games, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Crawfish Interactive, and Titanium Studios. And then it was published by Crave Entertainment. Fucking Crave Entertainment, man. I could go on about them. You know me. You know me and my relationship with them. But on the development side, Shaba back in the day was actually initially a 9-person development team. And they've actually developed a ton of different sport games. And one of those games being Grind Session. Grind Session's skateboarding engine is actually used as a base game for many games as time went on. For a lot of titles you guys know, like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Matt Hoffman's BMX game, and of course Razor Scooter Freestyle. Did I say it wrong again? Razor Freestyle Scooter. I can't. So typically what I do before I go and play these games is go and see what some of the reviewers have said, just to see like if maybe, oh yeah, like I'm noticing that now while I play a game or whatever. But I noticed a majority of what people were nitpicking about the game was just the cover art, because they're like, yo, this game copies Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, like, ooh, this is bad. And I was like, dog, it has been developed under the same company, and that is just the art style they use in like numerous game like box art. What do you mean? So for the story of this game, it isn't really something new or like really groundbreaking, and it's honestly just kind of like left up in the air and very, very confusing. Like it starts off with this like scene at the beginning of the game, right after they warn you to don't do any of this and wear safety equipment. But anyway, like it goes to like this cutscene, and it's like a giant fucking robot comes up out of nowhere, and it just takes like a few of your pals, and you're just kind of like, but like no one's like reacting, and then it just goes to like a text screen. Oh no, this is awful. Sure. Oh. This just all happened so quickly. I didn't even get a second to process. At least afterwards, we get like this like really sick montage of like a Razor scooter being put together, which makes me think, what does that montage look like for Europe? Is it just a normal ass scooter being put together? Over the course of the game, the player will have to complete like an assortment of challenges to rescue their pals, and once the necessary tricks and objectives have been completed, a special level will open up where players will have like an opportunity to rescue one of their captured friends. And after accomplishing this, players have to return to like the main levels, but this time there's like more difficulty set, and there's a lot more challenges throughout. And the game does not end until these special levels are unlocked, and you know, of course, all your friends are rescued. But this includes a UFC star named Tito Ortiz. You have to make sure he's rescued too. The story makes no sense to me. Like I'm just like, when did he get kidnapped by Mr. Robot? Like I was just at the park with my friends. Now I gotta save a UFC star? Like, and that or else the game doesn't end. Like you literally have to go get him. I don't know why they added a UFC star to a scooter game, but you know, for the early 2000s, it kind of makes sense. But when it comes to the mechanics, this is where the game kind of really hits like a wall. There is a total of 45 moves in the game, and the controls in Razor Freestyle Scooter, I said it right that time, can really feel unresponsive and super awkward, making tricks harder to pull off. And I sometimes will receive a little bit of input lag if I try to perform a trick while like the rest of the map is still loading in. Oh yes, that, what was I looking at there? So there's really not a lot of precision, and it's hard to make like simple moves work, and it just starts to feel very difficult or unintuitive. And that gets very frustrating, obviously. Especially when you have to like try and put a string of combos together, because that's how you gotta like beat scores to move on in the game. And with the physics in the game, it can be also a bit off, and that affects a lot about like how the scooter feels to the player, especially when like landing and jumping. It like sometimes feels like your character is either floating or your character's weight just seemingly changes for no reason, like randomly, a lot actually. The sound mixing is so bad. And the camera, of course, doesn't help. I mean, a lot of these games back on these consoles, the camera has always been like an issue, but the camera system can just be a little bit harder to control, and it feels a little too rigid at times, making it difficult to follow like the action or plan your moves, especially in like tight spots when you're doing bigger tricks. So with the unresponsiveness and the awkward physics, the game really doesn't have a lot of like precision, to put it that way. But if you look at it from that era and the grind sessions engine that it's running off of, it's honestly very advanced, but as time goes on, it doesn't really hold up. And although the game is licensed by a big scooter company, it's really just a vanilla game. There's nothing super unique or different about it compared to other trick sports games. Literally the only difference I would say is that it's scooter tricks and it's Razor Scooter. And there was one review I saw for this game that kind of really summed it up for me. For all the incredibly well borrowed ideas it has, the developers appear to have forgotten to do anything extra on top of them to make the game worth owning. But honestly, I think you should own this game, just for the story alone. And the story has like 4 of the same levels that you just repeat over and over up in the sky. How many more times am I gonna be in the sky? Also, if anyone can help me figure out what map is being used below, I literally cannot find out where this game takes place. And then when the story concludes, you find the robot, and he happens to just be chilling on this shrink ray, and the dude just gets shrunken down. And he's like, yo, I'm gonna stop being evil now. So the moral of the story for me is, tall people are evil, not a good look for me. I'm 5'10". But of course, no game is complete without the credits. And the credits in this game, they're just watch. It makes me say, hey, what the fuck? But then it also makes me say, like, you know, this is kind of nice to see. The devs had fun, and everyone on the team had a lot of fun working on the game. And it's kind of just like a really nice palate cleanser from, you know, hearing horror stories about working in the gaming industry nowadays. Just also just feels like I just watched Sandy and Patrick get the shit beat out of them by a gorilla.